Hi, it's Ronnie, and welcome to Off the Board with Crystal Barrett, who is Pineapple Papers here on YouTube. And if you'd like to check it out on Instagram, it's hashtag 0TBWPP. And there are some different people doing the Off the Board on there, and you can post yours. This is the layout that I am lifting off the board, and it is the uniquely creative Kit Cub design team, Kylie Kingham, and super cute layout. I'm scrapping that photo of my great nephew Parker, and I'm showing the layout there. It has die cuts and stamping. So yeah, I have stamps that I'm going to be using. Mostly the stamps are Tim Holtz and Studio Light. There's two different Studio Lights and a few Tim Holtz. Not that I'm going to use them all, but I am using some of them. And I'm showing the dies that I plan on using. That one is so vindicated, I can't remember, and it's covered up there. And some other ones that were in my stash. Those, oh, what are they called? B something dies. Um, they're really, really cute. They're bugs and they die cut out and they also emboss. And if you need to know, ask me down there and I will look it up for you while I look at the packaging. Um, I had it planned complete different way, but right at the last second, I pulled out my watercolors, and I would have pulled out watercolor paper if I had been thinking, but I already had this sitting there a day because I just could not make up my mind what I wanted to do and what I wanted to use. I am using the darkest blue on there, and then I'm going to want darker. So I pulled out Memento Danube blue, something like that. It starts with a D, I remember that. And I'm adding a little bit darker blue to everything, just to add some more dimension to the watercoloring. And this color here, I looked at it and I thought, well, that's kind of like a mustard yellow. By the time I add water to it, it'll probably be just right. Wrong. It's, I'm not sure what color it actually is, but it actually shows up in the end. It's on there and it's not all hidden. Part of it is showing. And I don't mind it near as bad once it dries. It does look more like a mustard yellow once it dries. And my paper will not be completely dry when I pull it back out. So it will look kind of warped pretty much through the whole layout, but it's that big Dicky Booten paper, so it's the 140 pound, and it does kind of smooth out before the end of the video. Well, maybe at the picture, somewhere in there, it smooths out a little bit. I'm using my white gel pen and putting some highlights on these very dark blue die cuts. And I'm not going to use them all. I'm not going to use the ticket. I think I just kind of overlooked it because I did plan on using it. I'm adding some of that white ink to the embossing on them so they'll show up just a little bit better. And there's my gigantic photo. Uh, it is just a 4x6, but I did mat it. And this paper here is, other than the green with the stars, the biggest scrap that I have. Everything I used were scraps, so I tore this one in half because I kind of thought it was too wide in comparison to what was used in the original layout. And I'm kind of glad. I think I end up using the both things before it's over with. I think so. I mean, I wouldn't 100% bet on it, but I think I used a little piece cut off at the end. And you see this dark blue paper here? See how big it is? Just a little bit's going to show. I put my strip that goes across there of pieces of paper up a little bit higher than I think I originally planned, because in my head I was thinking it was just going to go at the bottom of the photo. And I was going to nestle the photo in the corner where the stars are punched out there. They were punched out for another layout, but I decided to use a scrap. However, two of the punched out places, I think, maybe 3. Maybe it is 3 because that little tiny one on top. The 3 on the end show up. And that's all it's going to show up of that paper. I am using my tiny attacher on quite a bit of these pieces. Not all of them, but I am using them on quite a bit. And I'm putting a staple in them and then adhering them down mostly because of the fact that I don't know on that one. I think it could have fit on that one. I just wanted to be safe on how far my stapler would reach on some. So it's looks stapled, but it's really not. Well, it is stapled. It's just not stapled to more than one piece of paper. The stamp set that I'm using now is called Little Glitch, I think. Tim Holtz has like 2 stamp sets. It's Glitch 1 and 2, I think. This is the little one, and it has all of both sets on here, only in a smaller scale. And I like that so much better. And I am going to use it to stamp on here, but then I had, a couple months ago maybe, stamped a bunch on some wood grain paper, and I will use a couple of those too. And the other stamp sets, well, there's a few that's Tim Holtz, and I think I use a couple of them. And then there's the ones that's Studio Light, and I think I use, well, I just use one, some out of one of those sets. And then I have a Studio Light die, so I will point that out when I get ready to use it. And if I repeat myself in this video, it's because my computer just keeps crashing in this program and I keep starting over because I don't hit save often enough. But yeah, I get to talking and forget. So yeah. Um, I'm using the dark blue so it'll show up just a little bit better on, with the stamping. And I did consider doing both of those in the second generation, but then I thought, well, no, I think I'm going to go ahead and use it because I think it's going to fade a little bit by the time it gets dry on there. Like I said, well, I don't know if I said it this time around or not, but my layout was still damp when I started on it. I couldn't wait. I waited long enough, so I went ahead and started doing it. The bottom of my hands are kind of on the blue side by the time I get done. Just a faded blue. This is my larger compass die cut because I already cut it out. And then I'm going to put the bottom one down there around that circle that's down there. And because I have 2 on there, I wanted to do a third thing. So I have a die cut that kind of reminds me of the world thing looking kind of thing on your computer when your internet goes off, which happens to me a lot. But yeah, the paper, the cardstock moved a little bit on it, but I'm going to nestle it where you cannot tell it. So I will have those 3. Now, you see that little tag down there, never stop exploring? Well, I originally planned on it being part of my title, and I had an acetate that said Little Explorer. So it's going to be never stop exploring, Little Explorer. But I kept thinking that, he's like 8, I believe, in that photo, and that he might think he's not so little, how kids are. And so I thought, well, I'll save it for a smaller child. And I thought, well, the original layout has Discover as the title. I can do that. I have Discover dies. I have 2, I think. And this is the one from Memento. And it's a little more heavier. It's not as low profile or fine hand as the other one. So I thought I'd use it. So my title is Discover How High You Can Go, since he is in a tree. But, oh, and see that acetate there? It's been hanging out in that iris box forever, waiting to go on a layout. I did use part of it once, and it's kind of, I'm thinking superhero kind of sort of thing. But I figured not enough's going to show that you could tell it, and I wanted the color red. Uh, Parker's shoes have red on them, so I wanted to add a little bit of red as an accent color. Only I'm going to add one little ticket up there at the top, and then I'm going to forget about the third place, which I planned on it being a banner. However, the last photo will have that banner on there, but by the time I went in there and did it a few minutes ago, it became three spots with that one banner, and then I noticed that there was a vellum arrow, and it has red, and I really pretty much used all this up. So I thought, where am I going to use it at to match this color, this awesome color of red? And so I'm going to go ahead and throw it on there too. And you will see it in the last photo, just the last one, because I just now did it. Yeah, I took advantage of the last time the computer crashed. I always let it sit a few minutes because I think it's the processor and it just gets kind of overheated because the fan will kick on quite a few times before it crashes. So, yeah, I thought I'd let it cool off and go do that and then come boot it back up. Um, the I think most of the time when you've seen me use that dragonfly, I use vellum on the wings. Well, for some reason, the embossed part didn't show up on the vellum this time. Don't know why. I decided I would just put some of that white ink on it so the embossed part would show up and go ahead and leave it as the dark blue. And while I was rattling on there, I paper pieced the butterfly net thing, and I'm going to kind of nestle it right in there by the photo and the word discover. I had to pull the bug up off the net, so I will put it back on the butterfly net instead. And I don't think I mentioned, I don't think I did. I just cannot remember. The fish net is that tech, sophisticated. I think it's a play on a sophisticated, but it's so sophisticated. I think that's the name of it, and it's by Studio Light. And it's so delicate, but it cuts out beautifully. So I cut it in half and used half on each side of my photo. And my plan was to use that camera there, and it looks great there. I don't know why I didn't. And even when I went back in there, I forgot about it, and it didn't make it on the layout. But it still may make it on there because, it has some red and it has some greens on there. So perfect. I had the original layout has some tiny phrase stickers, so I used the stamp set, the Tim Holtz Tiny Text, and I used Be Authentic, Find Joy in the Ordinary, and I will add another one that's Life Was Meant for Great Adventure. So I already had them layered and had the green behind them and distressed and everything. I knew this layout was going to take a while, so I did do a few things like that y'all do all the time probably, and had them ready for my layout. But while I'm adding odds and ends to the layout, and I want to mention, here's where I notice that I don't have anything down there below the photo. Originally, I planned on having my banner stuff across there low enough and be across the photo. So I am going to add something there. I don't know why I didn't notice it before now. I mean, it's just kind of blank right there. But while I'm doing that, I want to mention that down there below will be the links to everybody that are doing off the board with Crystal Pineapple Papers here on YouTube. And there'll be their links and the days that they planned on doing the off the board. So lots of inspiration down there because they've been doing it all month. And this is the last day of the month and the last day for off the board. However, it does happen, I think, the last Wednesday of the month. Don't quote me on that, but it does happen once a month anyhow. Um, I pulled out my green stars that I mentioned earlier, and I am going to add them around the layout. Yeah, that was my solution to no leaves. Have you seen my hands go up? I had this stamp set, and it is close to my heart. And it's a very old one anyway. It's footprints, and I wanted to put a couple of footprints on my layout. So they went down there, and my original plan was to put it right on the white. But I put it on a little bit off the blue and a little bit on the blue, but you can see them really good in person. So the footprints are right down there at the bottom. And see how juicy that ink pad is? I mean, unreal juicy. And I've had it a very long time, probably 10, 11, 12 years, somewhere around there. I don't use it that often, but you'd think it'd dry out a little bit, but no, it's very juicy. Um, oh, I am done with my layout. There it is. I sprinkled the darker blue around there. And yeah, that's the last of my layout. And as you can see, the one on the left there, my inspiration layout, I did put mine opposite because of the fact, although Parker's looking straight ahead, his body's kind of tilted in the other direction. So I debated on it and decided to go ahead and put it on the other side. But I did, you can tell that I used it to make my lift from. And that frog there is Gina Marie Designs. And it comes all by itself, just one little frog. And but I store it with the bugs. I figure I might as well. Chances are I'm going to use them on the same layout. But isn't that ant cute? It does have embossing on it. And I did use two of them. I had one already I cut out. So I figured I might as well use it. And there's the top portion. And this collection had vellum in there, and so I had a tiny bit of it left, and I used several pieces on this layout. And there's my tiny text down there in the bottom, and it does have some pill paint ink on it. And that's it. That's my layout. If you leave a comment down there below, I'll try to get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those of you already are, thank you so very much. And thank y'all for watching my video today. I appreciate that too. But be sure to check out the links down there below and see what everybody else pulled off their board. And pull one off yours too. Oh, and in case I forgot to say it in this voiceover, my goal was to not use any greenery on this layout. There's no leaves on that tree. There's no leaves in Kylie's layout, but I kind of substituted green stars. But I achieved my goal. But have a happy, scruffy week. Bye.